Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story that's just full of contradictions, a real paradox that stretches back 2,700 years. It's the story of the Jews of Iran. This is one of the oldest Jewish communities in the entire world, and somehow they survive today inside an Islamic republic that is openly hostile to the Jewish state. It's an incredible story of identity and survival against all odds.
So that leads us to the big question, right? How on earth does this ancient community do it? How do they survive? Their national identity is Iranian, but the state they live in considers Israel its mortal enemy. It's this incredibly delicate, high-stakes balancing act that we're going to explore.
All right, let's dive in. To really get what's happening today, we have to go way, way back to the beginning. And you know what's so fascinating is that this 2,700-year story, it doesn't begin with conflict. It begins with an act of liberation.
I mean, their roots in this land go all the way back to the Babylonian exile. But the real turning point, the moment that changes everything, is in 539 BC with the Persian conquest. That one event paved the way for centuries of life in Persia, leading all the way up to what many call a golden age in the 20th century, a time when Iranian Jews were really prosperous and a core part of society.
And it all really comes down to one person, the Persian king Cyrus the Great. See, after he conquers Babylon, he does something amazing that's remembered forever in Jewish history. He issues a decree allowing them to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild their sacred temple. But here's the twist. A lot of them chose not to leave. They saw Persia, the land we now call Iran, as a refuge, a place of opportunity, and they decided to stay, putting down roots that would last for millennia.
So for almost 2,700 years, that bond held. Then, 1979. A single event comes along and just fractures everything. The Islamic Revolution didn't just change the country, it completely shattered the world for its Jewish community.
Before the revolution, just think about this. The community was thriving. You had about 80,000 people, a really vibrant, essential part of Iran's professional and business world. But the 1979 revolution comes along and just flips the entire script. A new Islamic Republic is born, and with it comes this deeply uncertain and frankly terrifying new reality for all of Iran's religious minorities, but especially for its Jewish population.
And the impact was immediate. It was dramatic. A mass exodus got underway as people grew terrified of the new regime. In just a few years, the population just collapsed, dropping from 80,000 to less than 30,000. More than half the community was gone.
And if you're looking for the one moment that really triggered this wave of fear, it was the execution of Habib el-Ghanian. Now, this wasn't just anybody. He was a hugely successful businessman and the respected leader of the entire Jewish community. He was arrested on completely baseless charges of spying for Israel and then executed. This event sent an absolute shockwave of terror through the community. It was a clear signal. No one was safe.
So, what about the people who stayed behind? How did the tens of thousands who remained learn to navigate this strange new world? Well, their survival hinges on understanding a really critical and officially enforced distinction.
Okay, this slide right here explains the tightrope they have to walk every single day. On the one hand, you have their religion, Judaism, which is officially recognized and even protected by the Iranian Constitution. They have rights. But on the other hand, you have Zionism, the political ideology of the State of Israel, which is viewed as a hostile enemy concept. It's considered treasonous. Understanding this razor-thin line is the absolute key to their survival.
And on paper, that protection, it looks pretty extensive. The community is guaranteed a seat in the Iranian parliament. They have active synagogues, their own schools, and cultural centers. The government even protects ancient Jewish holy sites and built a memorial for Jewish soldiers who died fighting for Iran in the war with Iraq. So in many ways, they are officially recognized as Iranian. But, and this is a huge but, that official protection exists under a constant dark cloud of suspicion. A really chilling example of this is the 1999 Shiraz affair. 13 Jewish men, we're talking teachers, religious scholars, even a 16-year-old kid, were arrested in the city of Shiraz and accused of spying for Israel. It took a massive international outcry to eventually get them released, but it was just this stark reminder of how fragile their position really is. But the story of Iranian Jews doesn't just unfold inside Iran's borders. The 1979 revolution basically created two parallel worlds. While a small community was fighting to survive at home, a massive and very influential global diaspora was being built by all those who fled.
So where did they all go? The vast majority, something like 70%, they made their way to the United States. They built these huge, prosperous communities, especially in Los Angeles, a city people nicknamed Tarangelis. Then, another big chunk, about a quarter of the population, they moved to Israel, forging a powerful new connection.
Now, this is where the story gets really wild. This slide shows the incredible paradox at the heart of it all. While one part of this ancient community is living in the Islamic Republic trying to prove its loyalty every day, another part has risen to the absolute highest levels of power in Israel, Iran's sworn enemy. I mean, we're talking about a former Israeli president, Moshe Katsav, and multiple defense ministers and army chiefs, like Shol Mofaz and Dan Halutz, all born in Iran. It is a mind-blowing illustration of this community's fractured identity.
And all of that brings us full circle, right back to the small community that's still inside Iran today. With the constant political pressure at home and the pull of family and opportunity abroad, their future is hanging precariously in the balance.
The numbers here, they tell a stark story. There's no ambiguity. From a high of 80,000 in 1979, the community has dwindled to only around 9,000 today. And the projections, they suggest that by 2025, that number could fall below 5,000. By every single measure, this is a vanishing community.
So what this all means is that we are witnessing a pivotal, maybe even the final, chapter in one of the world's most ancient stories of survival. A community that endured empires for nearly 3 millennia now faces its greatest challenge. And the question of whether it can survive the 21st century, well, that's a powerful, unanswered question that only time can answer.